Rome was one of the most extraordinary civilizations in human history. It was also one of the most brutal. We tend to remember the aqueducts, the philosophy, the legal codes that still echo in our courtrooms today. We forget, or perhaps we choose not to look too closely at, what it actually cost to build all of that. Who paid the price, and how? Punishment. The Romans had a gift for cruelty that went beyond simple violence. They systematized it. They gave it names, procedures, legal frameworks. They made it a performance. Take decimation, a punishment reserved for legions that broke and fled the battlefield. The soldiers would be divided into groups of 10 and made to draw lots. Whoever drew the short straw was beaten to death by the other 9, by his own comrades, men he had marched with, camped with, fought beside. The genius of it, from Rome's perspective, was that it didn't just punish cowardice. It made the group complicit in the punishment, binding them together through shared horror. Mass crucifixion operated on similar logic. After Spartacus's slave revolt was crushed, 6,000 men were crucified along the Appian Way, one every 40 meters, for over 200 kilometers, so that anyone traveling to Rome would understand, viscerally and unavoidably, what resistance cost. The Vestal virgins who broke their vows of chastity were not executed outright. That would have been too direct, too honest. Instead, they were sealed underground and left to starve in the dark. Rome couldn't technically be accused of spilling sacred blood. Technically. And then there was the puina kalai, the punishment of the bag, reserved for those who killed their own fathers. The condemned would be sewn alive into a leather sack alongside a dog, a snake, a monkey, and a rooster, then thrown into the Tiber. It was not enough to die. You had to die terrified, thrashing, in the dark, with animals. Slavery. The Roman economy did not merely tolerate slavery. It required it. Millions of enslaved people, some estimates put the number at a third of Italy's population at Rome's peak, kept the farms producing, the households running, the mines operating, the building projects moving forward. A wealthy Roman might own thousands of human beings. Most middle-class families owned a few. They were property in the fullest legal sense of the word. Their treatment varied. Some enslaved people in educated households were given relative comfort, even responsibility. But comfort at someone else's discretion is not freedom, and the system's fundamental violence was always present, always available to any master who chose to use it. Conquest. Much of this was funded by war, not defensive war, expansionist, deliberate, economically motivated conquest. When Rome defeated a city or a people, it didn't just take territory. It stripped everything portable, razed what remained, and enslaved the survivors. Carthage, Rome's great rival, was destroyed so completely that the city itself ceased to exist. The population was killed or enslaved. The story that Romans salted the earth afterward is likely myth, but the fact that it feels plausible tells you something about how Rome actually operated. Julius Caesar's Gallic Wars are taught as a triumph of military genius. They were also, by the numbers, a catastrophe for the people who lived there. Roughly 1 million Gauls killed, another million enslaved. By some estimates, 2 in every 5 people in the region were either dead or in chains by the time Caesar was finished. The region did not resist again. Of course it didn't. None of this cancels Rome's achievements. The law, the engineering, the literature, the political concepts that passed through Rome into the modern world. These things are real and significant. But they were built on a foundation that we should be honest about. Empires rarely sustain themselves through virtue alone. Rome gave us extraordinary things. It took extraordinary things in return, from people who were never asked whether they consented to the transaction.